You're out of. I just saw something very weird. It says you're out of storage, so this won't be recorded. I presume it's going out live to YouTube, though. That's weird.
I think so.
I have to figure that out.
Uh-oh.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, sorry, Helen. I've just thrown myself because I guess that might mean that we can't get a podcast out of this episode. Jen, I'm not sure, but we'll see.
I can help with that. We'll sort that out later. I'll help out.
Great.
We appear to be live.
We appear to be live.
Another insane week every day just throws up some more craziness. Again, no one else is talking about it. It's the maddest thing.
Crazy. It really is. So the debate.
Where do we start? The debate
is over. The debate is over. Before it had started.
Twice over. The Julie Bindel one as well. And what's great?
Yes, sorry.
All I was going to say was what's great when these debates get cancelled is Grace Lavery was obviously pressurized by his own side. So it's just so obvious that they don't want people to talk about this. It's so obvious that the rules that were drawn up in the Denton's document, which we should link to below, which basically told activists to avoid the media, which we see in them never appearing, Stonewall never defending itself on news programs, to court younger politicians, which we can see in idiots like Mary Black, who just got completely transfer her stupid statements on intersex. Actually, that is something I will say. That's a really good sign. Usually these intersex lies would just be kind of broadcast and no one would pick up on them, but they've really had blowback. They haven't gone down well. So it's a really good sign that people are starting to talk back again.
I think you're right there, but I also think about this Lavery thing. Of course, people on that side did not want Lavery to do the debate because it was obvious from what Lavery's been saying on Twitter over just the last week that it would have gone really badly.
Yeah.
There's only so much. You pretense that you can go through by saying, yeah, I'm like, of course I'll be able to defeat Helen Joyce because Helen Joyce is a fascist. I mean, once you're there, you're there and Helen Joyce is speaking to you, and she is, I mean, honestly, like Helen Joyce is incredibly intelligent, but even people less intelligent than Helen Joyce, it's still quite obvious that Lavery's whole shtick was, it's just trolling, really. And I think, like I said on the weekend, that just once you've made your position clear, and that is there should be no law, and everyone should be released from prison. What else is there to argue about? There is nothing else. But the statement that he just put out was quite incredible, I thought. I mean, it's a fantasy. I don't know if you've read it, but it's an extraordinary fantasy saying that Helen Joyce had actually called for an actual black shirt, suggested that someone make her an actual black shirt to celebrate her association with fascism. She said, "Can I get a shirt saying fascist wine mom?"
Like, my God.
Because of what he'd been calling her. Well, he'd called me a wine mom, and he'd said that Helen Joyce and Julie Bindel were fascist or fascist adjacent, and she'd made a joke out of this. And now he's saying she'd called for an actual black shirt. That level of sort of trolling lies or fantasy means that a debate with him would never get anywhere. We just wouldn't get off the ground. And I think
never mind a debate. This person shouldn't be in a school. When you're called, Helen Joyce is a doctor of mathematics. She has a PhD. She has written a best-selling book that has been well received and blurbed by the likes of Richard Dawkins. She is an editor at The Economist, no less, one of the most prestigious magazines on planet Earth that has ever been published. This is somebody who has impeccable credentials, who is an academic and an intellect of the finest caliber on planet Earth. To call this person an ignorant fascist and to be able to hold your position as a professor in a university is insane,
Yeah. It's the same kind of chucking a dead cat on the table that Aaron Rabinowitz tried with us, you know. But it's
although I think Helen Joyce has handled it with rather more dignity than we did.
yeah, very true, very true. But it's but it just goes to show as well. I mean, there's been no consistency from Lavery throughout this. For the, you know, at the start it was great. We get to do this. I wanted to do this, and she tries to, like, Lavery tries to sort it out. Lavery actually suggested it, I think, in the first place. Helen Joyce picks her up on it, says, "Yeah, I'll do it." You know, it's arranged for months, and then Lavery runs away. Not only runs away, but his Twitter account is suspended, which is very, very coincidental. Although I believe it was because he said the Queen should die or something like that, you know.
Yes,
but
it was another extraordinary thing. Almost, you know, a deliberate nuking of his account in order to not be held to account. But the other thing I think is quite interesting is this almost this attempt to deplatform a platform, to just say that Unheard is, you couldn't possibly use it as a platform because it's so right wing and fascist. Because they're a far-right organisation, because it turns out they, like, I don't know, YouTube, have hosted people who may have different opinions to Lavery.
I'm thinking...
it's incredible.
One of the things that's the most extraordinary aspect of these last few years is that the siloing of information and the silencing of people has been done, not at the behest of governments, but at the behest of lunatics like Lavery. Lavery is just, you know, an eccentric. That's the best you could say about Lavery. It's just
I think that's right.
A standard eccentric who's been given a little bit of extra. What would the word be? Extra wallop, I guess, because of queer theory, which he teaches his students. You know, and it's like these. We shouldn't even know Lavery's name. We shouldn't know his name. He's a complete nobody. And yet, you know, poor old Helen has to waste her time getting involved in all this drama with a bottom level troll, which is basically all he is, you know. And it's and this kind of teasing of the, you know, I'm going to do debate and I'm pulling out, I'm doing it. It's just typical of this type of person. How have these, you know, I've heard it said often about a certain party in Germany in the 30s. But my old history teacher used to say that one of the great mysteries for historians about the Nazi Party was, how did so many lunatics achieve power? I can't remember which one it was, but one of them collected skulls, you know? Like, these were just lunatics, and they were at the center of power in Europe for years. And here we have a group of the craziest people who believe the craziest things. And they're actually... everybody's doing, like producers of TED, everyone's doing a dance for these lunatics. It's
really insulting to gays and lesbians that it comes from queer theory. There's almost this attitude that, like, oh, it's just the crazy gays, let them say whatever they want. It seems homophobic to me that anybody tolerates this, you know, that they're supposed to tolerate this as a part of gay rights. It reminds me of when the We Spa incident happened and the people at the reception desk said, oh, because of that person's sexual orientation, we have to let them do what they want.
Yes.
That is a slap in the face to me. Like, people aren't understanding how gay rights works. We're supposed to be treated with respect and dignity, and also treated like adults. You are allowed to criticize anybody, regardless of what their sexual orientation is, if they say something crazy. That's part of treating someone with respect, is you don't just keep your head down and let them do whatever the fuck they want, you know?
Yeah.
So when these universities allow queer theory courses to just expand into horse shit and let the craziest people rise to the top and reward them with tenureship, and you know, kids are paying tens of thousands of dollars to attend these classes.
Dangerous. It's dangerous for it's dangerous for the whole world that this is gaining traction. I mean, you can see where we got to, a space where I never would have thought, where people are literally trying to argue that sex is a social construct and it doesn't really exist. I mean, where do you even start with that?
I know,
and yet. Yeah, like I was
and
saying,
yet it's being entertained. It's being entertained.
This whole fight, you know, this whole fight, it's characterized by, I mean, there are more than just women now, but on the whole, is characterized by intelligent women time-consumingly and politely making reasoned, rational points in the face of condescension, rudeness, and deliberate provocation.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just been going on for such a long time, like constant. You know, like I get so much shit flung at me, and it's just constantly, no, do you believe this? Do you believe that a male-born person with a penis? And now I've said that, somebody's going to video it and have me say, penis, penis, penis.
Yeah. Oh, someone did that, did they?
Yeah. There's a video of me. That's all I'm saying.
Good.
Great. Well, you know, I can think of nothing better than listening to you say penis over and over again. It sounds like a normal night out on the piss, to be honest.
It certainly does.
But
it's a holiday in my house.
but I see Doozer and Birdy are here. It's a bit earlier than I expected them. We'll be with you in a sec, guys, if that's okay. Give us a thumbs up if that's okay. Excellent. All right, we'll be with you in a few minutes. There's just a couple more things I want to just briefly talk about. Some other interesting stuff happened this week. Another thing that happened is yet another university has been revealed to not be protecting its students. This time it's Cardiff University, and it's really getting unignorable what's happening in universities now. Surely there's going to have to be some sort of action taken. I mean, this has gone beyond an isolated or a few isolated incidents. You know, surely someone has to step in and step in for freedom of speech in universities. It's extraordinary what's going on.
It is, and you know, honestly, it's the Leah Thomas thing that I got to the stage where I think, surely now this time somebody will say something. And I do know that there are a lot of people saying things. They're saying things to themselves. They're saying things to their friends, but they're still not necessarily speaking up publicly, you know. And to be fair, again, a lot of the people who totally agree and are saying things to their friends just don't, you know, where would they speak publicly? But there's a massive gap, isn't there, between people saying, like, there's that video of Thomas where he beats the sort of the second place woman by about 7 seconds. And if you look closely, he's not even moving his legs. He's not even kicking his legs.
Oh yeah, they said he
so much more power in him.
Yeah.
But you see under the video, everyone's saying this is ridiculous, this is ridiculous, this is ridiculous. And yet still you've got mainstream politicians, etc., not denouncing this.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. There's a guy in Ireland, a woman
they're terrified. They're just terrified, aren't they?
There's a woman, her name is Sharon Keoghan, and she is probably about as far as you could get from me. Like, she's, you know, anti-abortion. She's very right-wing, I think. But, like, she stood up and made a speech about women's sports. And this in particular was the thing that made a tweeter named Robert Bohan go after her. And you know, none of the thread is about her speech. It's all about, she did this, she said that. You know, it's all the usual kind of identikit of crimes. You know, but it's done specifically. This guy Robert Bohan is specifically trying to shut her up on this issue, because this is the issue. Remember, this is also the issue that Aaron Rabinowitz would not speak to Andy about. Yeah. You know, now that's very revealing. You know, because sport is the one that they can't ignore. Sport is the one where they have to go, okay, you know, because what else can you do? You see Leah Thomas coming in a way. Sorry, Artie. Yeah, pick it up.
Oh, nothing really to say, except if Leah Thomas is literally not even trying, this is not somebody who's even trying to excel in their own sport. They're just trying to do this so that they get into that changing room, essentially, you know.
Well, I think it's a combination of that, and I also think that I know this from, you know, I mean, I'm a big crime fan. I love reading about crime fiction and stuff like this. And I've told you before about the car park in the disabled car park. You know, the criminals gravitate towards. But someone like Leah Thomas is very much a Trump figure. It's someone who just enjoys getting away with like this type of stuff. I don't even know whether it is sexual. But I'm sure that's.
It could just be outright cheating. Who knows? It's hard to say.
Well,
it's worship.
I think you're right. I think it's all of that, and I think just in the way that Lavery is, you know, it is getting away with it, isn't it? It's that narcissism of being able to look people in the eye and say, I'm a woman, despite all of the evidence that you can see. I'm telling you that I'm a woman and I'm going to do this. And it is that extreme, it's that
Duper's
rush
delight.
of power. It's that rush of power and narcissism that they will get. And it's everything, isn't it? It's saying I'm a woman. It's obviously wearing a woman's swimming costume over a clearly male body, and going in the pool and competing with the women and saying, I'm winning, beating all the women, and going into the women's changing room and getting your cock out.
Do you know what it feels like?
Power and narcissism, and it's working.
It feels like
impotently saying, "What the fuck?" and he's just doing it. And
it feels like an evil version of a jackass stunt. It feels like an evil version of a jackass stunt. It's like or Borat or something. It's like, how far can we get away? How far can we get away with this? How much can we push this? And the answer is all the way.
All the fucking way, man.
You'll have sports. You have governments and sports bodies saying, yes, this fucking cheating bastard, Leah Thomas, has the right to cheat in this sport against women. I just can't get over it. I can't get over that it's happening.
It's going to collapse eventually, and it's going to be just such a huge fucking shit show. You know, it's going to collapse, and then there's going to be a looking back moment when we're all going to have to look back and see how fucked up everything was, and it's just going to be insane. You know, I don't know how people are going to live with themselves after playing along with this bullshit. How can an entire Western civilization get swept up in an outrageous cult like Scientology? This is what's happening. You know,
it has been. People have just been swept up in this, and it is really quite extraordinary. It is.
The one factor I keep forgetting, that I keep having to remind myself of, and for me it explains a lot of the silence in my industry. You know, people who didn't stand up for J.K. Rowling, people who didn't stand up for me. Often and I think this is true of politicians, I think it's true everywhere, it's the kids. It's basically privileged middle class kids and the worst problem is the parents who think they have to be friends with their kids instead of their parents, right? They don't want to alienate the kids, so they're nodding along to all this shite, and the kids are kind of got them in a kind of Stockholm syndrome situation. You know,
but,
it's like,
you know,
none of them believe it,
this,
but none of them will go against it.
I was reading somebody saying that their aunt or someone was a school teacher, and was saying, you know, we get these parents coming in saying, you know, my daughter is now non-binary, and this is the name that she wants to use or they want to use, etc., etc. And she was saying, even though the girls haven't really made much of a fuss about it at all, a lot of it is coming from the parents. And I was trying to put myself back, you know, when I had kids, you know, quite a long time ago now. Like, my eldest is 21. I can't help thinking that there would have been something cool, wouldn't there? There would be something cool about having a kid who was a bit different like this. And it's entirely possible, you know, competitive-wise, I might have thought, oh, I know, there's something. There is something in that.
It's almost,
and if you haven't thought it through, you know, like if you hadn't actually seen what's going on at the extreme ends with the double mastectomies and the nullification surgery and what we have seen, if you just come along to it and think, you know, this is the new gay rights, and now you've got a kid who might give you a bit of kudos, bit of cachet, looking a bit cool amongst the other parents.
But it's not just that. That's like
I might have done it.
Yeah, no, I know what you're
Scary,
saying.
isn't it?
I know it is very much, I think, an extension of the stage kids or the stage mom type of thing.
Yes.
You know, it's like the same type of mom who would have sent kids to
Sylvia Young. Is it Sylvia Young? I've been,
you know, or Jo Beth Williams. What was that? The beauty pageant thing. You know, it's people living through their kids. You know, and you know, I mean, Christ, I mean,
it's all the more so with social media and Facebook now, you know, and it's all the more so because it's tied up in asserting your liberal credentials and your progressivism too. So that's a big factor. You want to show the world that you're a progressive family. So if the kid is slightly gender nonconforming, you go all the way and say, okay, they're trans now. And then the second you even dip your toes in it, you can't get out. You can't back out.
That's the other
thing. You even
thing,
dabble for a week. in calling your kid trans, there's just going to be everyone's going to rush and push that kid all the way, and you can't get out,
Yeah, because as a parent then, you're suddenly really cool and you don't really want to say, oh, actually, they're not. You can be like, well, they're sort of, a non-binary is perfect for it, isn't it?
Some of the worst.
Not to do too much, but,
Some of the worst trans rights activists, the worst trans rights activists are often the ones who trans their kids while very young,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I
and then they're guilty and they can't get out. Yeah.
And
they have to go on. They have to double down.
They have to trans everyone else's kids to
exactly.
To verify their position, to make them realize that, or to make them think that it's okay. It's to shore it up, isn't it?
Well, that's what so much of trans activism is. People who have done this to themselves, and they need to make other people do it to validate their own decision that maybe is a little bit, there's some doubt there as to whether it was the right decision,
We better get Doozer and Birdy in because they've been waiting for a while. So I should invite them in. Is that okay by you guys? Are you ready to go? Yeah. Thumbs up.
You're gonna give a background to people about what's going on.
Yes. Okay. So basically, Birdy has been on before. Birdy's an artist who does really nice, kind of glowy, colorful pieces. Yes, like Helen's calendar. Just before Christmas, in fact. And the J.K. Rowling, her lovely J.K. Rowling.
Oh
God! Well.
There's Glenn.
Oh, and Tiny Artie.
Yeah, there's Tiny Artie, of course. And they have been harassing and cancelling her nonstop since she started. But now they're going after her boyfriend Doozer, who I don't think has ever really commented on this beyond standing by Birdy. And they're here to speak with us today. Thank you so much for joining us.
How you doing?
Hey.
Hello. Sorry, we shut up a bit early. We just got excited.
Don't worry, that's fine. That's totally understandable. I hope we didn't say anything that's going to get you into more trouble. But
not yet.
You guys, but you guys are really going through the wars at the moment. I mean, I've reported on stuff that's been happening to you before, Birdy. So let's not go back too far. Let's go back to the latest attacks on you. First of all, there was the calendar. What happened with the calendar?
Oh, I forgot about the calendar.
Yeah, I forgot about that. So much has happened. Well, basically, they took the calendar and agreed to do it, and I sent the artwork, and that was all fine. And then I had to adjust the artwork a little bit on technicalities, and somebody at the team flagged it as transphobic. And then they emailed me. They didn't tell me outright it was transphobic. They just said that I'm promoting hatred, and no, they said I'm promoting hateful ideology, and I'm inciting violence.
The hateful ideology that sex exists. That sex is real.
So they didn't really have a proper answer to it. Obviously, I got the calendars sorted out and fucked that other company off.
But it was like a couple of days before Christmas.
Yeah, it was 2 days before Christmas.
It was it's a company we've been using for like 10 years. We've been Birdy's been using them for like all the stuff, and they're a brilliant company because like they've just been great at what they do and always been. But this is gone. Bye.
So brilliant anymore.
And it was so late that you actually, because when I got the calendar, I'm like, hey, I'm first, but I'm February. And then I realised it's because they'd done it so sort of close up to the new year. You'd actually had to do the calendar unusually running from February to February as opposed to the more normal January to January.
But technically, before, to be honest.
I was going to say technically that's a brilliant marketing strategy.
But everyone to leave the calendar in February, so there's only one they can get. So
everybody, you're stuck on my timeline of the year now. And you have no other
February.
Christmas in October. So
why not?
But the other thing that's happened is, and I was trying to find that letter that you shared, Birdy, that was sent to Doozer. But the other thing that's happened is they've started to harass Doozer because of your.
Took them a while, didn't it? Bloody hell!
I've not said anything, and like it's been a bit weird because since me and Birdy have been together and we went off in the van and we toured around, like we literally everything was working together up until like fairly recent with all this, because it's not it's not my sort of domain to get involved with at all. As my main goal was to bring people together, play music, and have a really good time, and that's it. That's all I've basically dedicated my life to. So this is all well alien to me at all. But yeah,
you must be kind of shocked at the level of hatred compared to what Birdy is actually saying.
Yeah, it is. It's but I don't know. I think it's like a lot of people have I've actual proper I've walked with proper friends have completely abandoned us over this sort of stuff, or walked away. Basically, a lot of our support network from doing the music stuff, loads of them have turned their backs on us because of this. And it's
have they said anything? Have they explained anything? Have they said to you?
Not to me.
I've had a couple of people recently. This is recently, but I've had a couple of people because I put up a post just because about basically had a festival cancel me because Birdy might turn up, or just because I'm with Birdy that they're going to.
Yeah, it's because you've got a missus who's got opinions that has upset other people.
Yeah, but they're like these people they seem really upset. Like this is like proper. I don't know, as if we've like gone on a mass killing spree and stuff.
They're not really upset.
Me and Dooz disagree a
really
bit on this.
They just know the word. They know the words to use. They know that they can say that Birdy makes them feel unsafe. They know that they can just throw all this stuff and it'll just be accepted. You know.
See, that's where I come from, because you think that people are genuinely upset. I don't.
No. Yeah. No, I don't know. I can't, because if they're not genuinely upset, then why are they going to?
Well, they
enjoy it.
They're upset. Well, they're upset. Like, yeah, exactly. I think.
Well, they don't. They don't want to be tainted. In return,
not just that.
That's a big thing.
But Helen, not just that. Here's the thing they really hate. This is what they really hate. They really hate that they can't tell you what to do. This is the thing that I've experienced as well, even from people on my own side. When people can't control you, they get angry. They get angry and they start to lash out. And I think that that's what's happening to you. Birdy, may I just say that you've just proved yourself, beyond what anyone can do. All the stuff that you've come under, you've just proved yourself. Someone who absolutely does the right thing, will not be swayed by popular opinion, and just doggedly sticks to it. It's so admirable,
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
And that's why they hate you. That's why they hate you, because you're everything they should be and they're not, I think. So
yeah, but that is all true, but there is still that idea. Look, I mean, if they can cancel J.K. Rowling, people are frightened, aren't they? They're frightened
people are
to be associated with people. And they make a decision, and often it's the cowardly one.
I've tried to have a few conversations, because I don't know, just the way my brain works. I kind of want to understand why, and so I'm trying to have the conversations, and it still doesn't make any sense to me still. But the conversations, they all like. I think people are like so. I was so scared to say the wrong thing. Like I was going to say something that was it's just bad and nasty. And once you've been branded something like that, I know how I've been kind of kicking around like the kind of underground music scene for probably about 20 years, and I know how quickly like rumors spread, and how quickly like if people think you're a bad person for whatever reason, you're out, just out. Yeah. So. Yeah, that to look forward to.
What have people actually said?
Well, actually, that brings me to Birdy, do you mind? May I quote some of this letter that was sent to you?
Yeah.
Because I think it's actually a little masterpiece in the genre of shaming letters. This was sent by a friend of Doozer's. Listen to this. Mate, I don't really want to get involved or argue, because I like you a lot and don't want to upset you. But if you are, I love this line, if you are genuinely confused as to why this is happening, then I therefore want to help. Why would someone not be confused about a woman receiving harassment for standing up for sex-based rights? Why would some? But anyway,
why would he only be with me out of confusion after like 10 years?
Yeah.
But it goes on. We're all pro-women. In quotes, scare quotes for some reason. Birdy, you, me, all of us, all of our little festival family are. Of course we are. Great. But when Birdy uses the word woman, she only means people who were born with biologically female genitalia. The vast majority.
I'm sorry.
The vast majority.
I know it's serious, but that's fucking ridiculous.
Listen, it gets better. The vast majority of our festival family, this is like the Manson family, including me, think that other types of women exist too, and that Birdy is denying that identity and rights. In other words, women exist, and they are women as well. That is more or less the definition of transphobia. It doesn't matter whether or not you or her recognize it or agree. That is simply what most people think, based on what she says and does. Birdy is a transphobe. Fuck this friend of yours, by the way. He's an absolute arsehole. Do I agree? Yes. Do I think it's simple and uncontroversial? Not at all. These are difficult issues. She surely has some valid concerns, but her approach is extreme and discriminatory. I mean, that's. I'll leave it at that. My
favourite bit is when he said that Doozer pretty much has to choose between me and the festival family, or face the consequences.
That's right.
Or face the
I just didn't know what to say to it.
It's an interesting thing, isn't it? It's an interesting thing. Like, what other political stance sort of has this much power? I mean, it's perfectly fine for like somebody to say, well, actually, I'm anti-abortion, and somebody else to think, well, I'm pro-abortion, but you could probably still play music in the same festival. I mean, I think that would still be okay. And
I'm not sure.
I reckon if you was like a full-on like Nazi skinhead punk band, I think they don't get they get the same sort of treatment. But that's
no. I think they'd get less harassment than we would.
Well, because they're scary though, aren't they?
Yeah,
so it's quite likely.
Maybe it should look a bit scary.
But it is such a weird issue that people get so angry with people who simply don't agree with them. Like I would be perfectly okay. I am perfectly okay to talk to people and go to places where people believe that men can be women. I'm okay with that. I just disagree with them, and I'm not going to go along with their ideology, but I'm okay with standing in a lift with them or even talking to them. It's okay.
But it's the zeal of the doubtful. This is a religious phenomenon, not a political phenomenon. When you have a little bit of doubt in your own head, you have to perform zealousness. The most zealous religious zealots are the ones who secretly know that their religion is kind of bullshit and are scared to admit it,
Yes,
that's exactly what's going on. When you kind of doubt yourself, you have to suppress your own doubt by attacking everyone else who shares that doubt. This is a psychological phenomenon that's well established. And that's exactly what's going on. These people have to perform their hatred of anybody who doubts that men can be women because they know it's not true themselves deep down inside, and they have to suppress it. And they suppress it by lashing out at others because they can't get at themselves. Isn't it fucked up? But it's a psychological thing.
It is like, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. People seem to be, I don't know. We've been around, like, I don't know. We've been in these sort of, I don't know, quite alternative spaces for quite a long time, and we've just met a lot. Basically, we've been living in festivals for like 10 years. Before the pandemic happened, we basically during the summer would live in festivals from April through to October, and people would dress up as penguins all weekend, and everyone would know them as the penguin guy who turns up at all the festivals dressed as a penguin, and that was just normal, and that was fine. And so it's always been like this. I've never really questioned anyone dressed differently or how they want to present themselves to the world. Like if they want to present themselves as a unicorn, and some people do, that's it, they dress up as a unicorn all weekend. They kind of work all week, and then that weekend they go to festivals and just dress up. Yeah, and this just it just baffles me, the level of hatred that my post that I put up, I don't know what happened, but it felt like there was like two groups of people just come out of nowhere. I didn't know who any of them were, all shouting at each other, going, you're wrong, no, you're hateful, and then madness. Just
do you know what I hate about it
as
well?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I was going to say that there are other people on the scene we've been on to have the same view as me, like reality is real, normal stuff. Yeah. Who are not. Are you opening a beer? He's having a beer, sorry.
That's all right.
They're not in trouble. They're allowed to think this, and I'm not.
Well, that's a very interesting point. Yes, it's arbitrary, isn't it? Sometimes they get, like I was thinking this the other day. Sorry, Doozer, I'll only quickly. But I'm a big fan of the show Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And I noticed that it's a show that is much loved amongst the young as well, the young people. But the thing is, they've done blackface on that show, and there's never been any criticism. And it's because they are favored. they are favored. So you may do this, but if one of those cast members said anything they didn't like, suddenly the blackface would be a problem.
Oh, that's such an interesting point. It's a ticking time bomb. Wow.
Yeah. Well, I described it to journalists, comedians are living under fear of permanent blackmail because any clip, any joke, anything that they want to suddenly paint as hateful can be kind of weaponized at a moment's notice, And so, sorry, Birdy, I
just want to say to you, there's people
saying.
that, when I first started talking about some of this stuff on Facebook, like, what was it, at least 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago,
for ages.
When I first peaked,
yeah,
other people were peaking and mouthing off all over it, and some of those people, it comes up on my memories, and now the people pretending to be shocked and offended at what I'm saying.
I think some of it is they're trying to cover their ass and make sure they also don't, because they've seen how we've been. I mean, the weirdest bit, because you got the whole pandemic thing as well, so we've been out of the loop anyway because of that. So we haven't seen any of these people that we would in real life, and it's all been, digital communication.
Yeah, it's easier to attack us and to smear us.
They're kind of scared of getting that done to them as well. So I don't know. It's just
Well, there's a brilliant piece by Derek Jensen where he talks about the first people through the door, and unfortunately, that's what we all are. We're the first people through the door, and we should have been followed quickly by our friends and by the people who loved us, but we weren't. We were just let. There's a sketch we did for Big Train that I always reference. Do you know the one I'm going to reference, guys? There's a guy and he's making a speech. And he's got a big bunch of soldiers in front of him, and he says, "Beyond this line lies our enemy, 5,000 men, and I will say this only once, so listen carefully." And he goes, and he turns and runs, and everyone is so shocked that they just kind of go like this, and he's just killed immediately.
And they're all just standing there.
That's what we're like. That's what we're all like. We're like, women's rights, and we run, and then like, we're dead, But it's true. The only way you can win a war is if everyone runs at the same time. But it's
that
still
is true. But I want to put a note of hope in here and say that where I sort of move in the circles that I move, I work in sort of, I don't know, I want to say too much, IT. Like I can go to the pub and I can talk about this and everyone will be rational and say, yeah, like I totally agree with you. Like some people will ask questions and some people will be like, oh, but what about this? What about this? But on the whole, people will say, yes, of course, that makes sense.
You're able to have a chat about it as well. That's the important thing.
Yes, absolutely able to have a chat with it. But I've never been able to keep my mouth shut. I would go to the pub, I'll have one glass, I'll think, oh no, I'll just, these are work colleagues, I'll be perfect. I'll have one glass of wine, I'm like, and actually, and here's an interesting thing.
But may I make a suggestion as well? Like, I think we probably put our finger on it a little bit, Doozer and Birdy, in the sense that, like, you guys are a lot more younger than me by several centuries, and you guys have grown up with the internet. You've always been very frontward facing to your audience and so on.
Yeah.
Is that? Do you think part of a problem? Is it almost like a live by the sword, die by the sword type thing that you're?
I reckon. Yeah, there's definitely something in that. I'm because I remember talking to you about this before, but it's like. We've been front facing using the internet, like because we've basically been living out of our house. Before, up till fairly recently, we lived on the roads just touring around. We were front facing with everything. Yeah. We like literally was just so open, so involved. Anyone who wanted to be involved, and that not in a rude way, but yeah.
Yeah, you weren't swingers, you weren't dogging.
Whoa. Way to ruin my vacation days.
Places, though. Yeah, because they can get you park your van there. They're all right, as long as you don't flash your lights. It's
all right, okay. Yeah. So you've always been very. I mean, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking what's happened to you. First of all, you had COVID. Just wreaking destruction through your whole kind of line of business, and then your friends do this to you. I mean, it's heartbreaking, and I often think about you both, and I'm not worried about Birdy, because I think Birdy.
Don't worry about me.
Birdy's fine. Birdy's good. But I do worry about you, Doozer, because I know what it's like when you've got someone who you love who, you know, doesn't understand it and stuff like that. And it's really, really hard, even when they're trying to stick together with you. You know, my wife was sent, you know, tons of appalling things in the post about me and stuff, you know, and it's why I worry more about you than I do about Birdy.
On the post, when because I don't know if I've mentioned it before about the fact that I recently had a gig pulled on me, a festival cancelled me within a couple of days because of hatefulness here. Yep. And
it's outrageous. Can you name the,
on the post
festival,
you popped up. They said, don't talk to this person. I was like, what?
No, he said you need to.
Why is he even?
He said you need to do something about your association with this guy, and then put a picture of Graham on it.
Oh, did he? I thought he said don't associate with this guy or something like that. But yeah.
That's
nuts. Yeah. What these people done for you is just insane.
Well, someone called me. Someone said Graham Lynn, he's like Hitler for trans people.
Wow, she got attacked.
I mean, honestly, isn't that actually? I mean, it's, you know, it's in one way it's funny. But in another way, it's just an absolutely appalling thing to say. It's just appalling and it's disgusting.
One of the things,
and it characterizes this whole debate. It's the extraordinary hyperbole, because some people simply just cannot accept that their version of, like, their fantasy is not ever going to be reality.
It's sad as well, isn't it?
The fury that comes along with it is what's happened here, and we're just having to battle this narcissistic fury every day.
It's absolutely nuts. It really is. I just kind of just seeing the way people, because I'm sorry, I'm just get my thoughts together with all this. I've never actually talked this out loud to anyone other than Birdy. So, but the one thing that really gets me about all this stuff is it just seems really, really cruel to encourage someone to be able to become something that they're never going to be able to come, and they only will be content if they become this thing that they never will become. That's not fair.
I think it was I can't remember who shared this, but one person tweeted that they met a young woman who's transitioning to male and believed that they would have a working system down there.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Yeah,
you know,
because that's what you'd think.
But that's insanity. That's absolute insanity.
But you're not allowed to tell them that it's not going to happen.
I know,
that's even worse.
Yeah,
horrible. I think if you're going to transition, you have to understand that it's a medical treatment for a medical condition, that you're never truly changing sex. You're just doing this to treat yourself for your mental health condition. You have to be aware, I think, you know, and so many of these people aren't aware. They're being lied to.
But they're not only being lied to.
Such incurable dysphoria. You just can't, you tried other things. You know that you're just not doing well, and you know what the limitations of transition are, and you're an adult who can make an informed consenting decision. Then go ahead and do that if you realize that that's the thing that is going to try and help you treat your debilitating dysphoria. I get that. But instead, they're just telling everyone to go ahead and do it. They're lying to them about what the treatment even is. Exactly like you said, Doozer. You're being lied to. You can't give someone a life-changing medical treatment and lie to them about what it is.
Not only that, this is as you say, as Helen said, this is the even worse part. They're lying to people about what Birdy and Doozer are about. Well, I won't drag you into Birdy's appalling beliefs, but they're lying to people about what Birdy's beliefs actually are. They're lying to people that they're harmful. They're lying to people that they want trans people to die. Like, we have a whole generation who've been told that J.K. Rowling wants her readership to die. It's an extraordinary thing. And then you have people like the New York Times picking up on that. I mean, you must feel like you're going insane.
The independent thinkers.
Yeah,
I think what happened was when COVID happened, we drove into some parallel universe, and it just more doesn't make sense anymore. I think that's what's happened.
This has been going on way before COVID. Way before. I mean, COVID, I think, has raised the temperature a bit, but this has been going on. You know,
it's social media and the internet. The virtualization.
10 years I've been talking about this.
That's social media and smartphones.
Yeah.
Once people virtualized their lives so much, and once people were able to create kind of like these sort of majority-minority communities where they have maybe fringe ideas and beliefs, but they can all come together and form a huge power block. All this started happening with social media, and people just became more and more virtual, and people's connection to material reality is just collapsing, and people's understanding of what's real and what's not real is collapsing. You know, fake news is just destroying everything. I'm just seeing constant fact checks over bullshit stories. Nobody knows what's true or false anymore. The just fabric of reality is falling apart. You know, it seems
it's still outside. If you go outside and walk in the woods or something, it's still there. You can still just
is it?
Yeah, it's all still there. It's not gone anywhere.
Not yet, until Facebook launches Meta,
and
we're all in the virtual world all day.
Yeah, but it does feel like that, because it just, like, you just want to go, just go for a walk. I don't know. I think the disconnectment. That's not.
So we
word,
need to hack the internet and turn it all off.
Yeah, but I think disconnecting from like nature. I was chatting because we had the storms recently in the UK, and I don't know. Did you guys all right with the storms and stuff? Yeah, because I've still got some friends who like live in caravans and like vans and stuff, and like when the storm comes in, it's pretty brutal. But I quite like the connection to the nature, and because as humans, we've done a really good job at hiding away from what's actually happening in the world. We can just lock ourselves away, and I don't know where I'm going with any of this stuff.
No, I know what you're saying. And then you had COVID as well, where suddenly your only connection with people is delivery man and stuff. You know, it's been very strange. But you know, there's all sorts of things that are kind of coming in at the same time. I don't know whether you've been paying attention to what Trudeau is doing in Canada, but it's an absolute shocking crackdown on democratic protest. You know, as someone pointed out, Trudeau doesn't need to fire a shot. He can just cut off their funding at the digital level, which is controlled by people who all agree that, you know, Trudeau's brilliant. Do you know what I mean? It's an ideological system that they're going to ram down our throats, whether we like it or not. You know, all of this stuff. And you guys are just you know, a small musical, you know, artistic duo standing up in the face of a massive movement.
Someone could have told me this before.
Yeah, it could have.
Yeah, me too.
But I could have prepared you.
Loads of pictures of hot air balloons and boats, and
we're all shocked by how
but that don't upset anyone.
No, I don't.
But we're all shocked at how bad it's gotten. Like, we've all got stories, you know. Like, Helen's been received harassment from people writing to her workplace. Ardy's had troubles, you know, and you know, I think it was Stella O'Malley said, you know, none of us realized quite how, not just how crazy it was, but how implanted it is, how, what's the word I'm looking for, ingrained in society. Yeah. It's really frightening how fast
it's just still every day it's hard to process. Why aren't people getting this? Why isn't this getting through to people? And then, like Helen says, she can go to the pub, and down on the ground, on the street level, there are people we know who we can talk to about this, but it's not making its way up through the power structures at all.
Well, there was an interesting sorry guys, I invited you on and you're not getting a word in, but I'll just say this very quickly. There was an interesting poll done where they asked people if they supported trans rights and blah blah blah, and everyone said yes, because of course they did. But then they asked but then they asked more specific questions, like, do you think that, you know, there shouldn't be female only spaces and stuff, and then people were far less sure, you know. So the truth is that this is a real top-down elite middle class Americanized movement, and it's only harming people like ourselves, people on the left. It wouldn't be great if one of these fucking cancel sessions actually canceled someone on the right. They're like completely immune from all this stuff.
Well, they are, because all the people who are cancelling them.
I'm not sure if that's totally true. Right. I bet we can find someone on the right that's been cancelled by the right.
Oh, there's people who've been cancelled on the right, definitely, but they've been. But I just think that this particular cancel culture is really it goes for left wing. Progressive,
it goes,
you know what I mean?
It goes for easy targets, doesn't it?
And it goes for easy
targets. Often the easy targets are women. But I do think that there is something in the idea that it's also a movement that is predominantly young, and I think a lot of it is, you know, they're looking at their lives and there's no chance of buying a house, you know. And they look around and they look at the older generation who do have houses, etc., and who have got power, and they think, well, this is the way that I have power now. I can try and cancel people. I can try and sort of maybe like fuck up society to an extent. to just, to make my mark, to get back. I think that there is definitely an element of that involved.
Absolutely. I think that's the new currency, because they don't have real currency. They don't have money and economic power. The new power is this sort of social currency they can build on social media by, getting people canceled. That's the way you demonstrate to your peers. Your virtue currency and your social media currency is the only currency they have. So they're living for it. They're just living in a video game where they're trying to cancel people and attack everyone because that's the only thing they can do to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak.
That is a problem. And we do have a problem with sort of economic differences. That is definitely a problem. And so from that angle, I guess you can't really blame them. However, I can blame them for everything else. It's just, it's, trying to complete, it's just the whole way that they're trying to bring down society by just sort of peddling lies as truth and pretending that, lies are truth. And it is, and it is definitely working. I mean, you've got mainstream politicians like going on sort of TV and saying, well, yes, it's bad to say that only women have a cervix, and J.K. Rowling should absolutely, we should try and imagine Harry Potter without J.K. Rowling. There is, it's a huge deal.
Well, like if they could do that to J.K. Rowling, well, they can obviously give you and Birdy a tough time. Doozer, do you have anything lined up? Has there been any kind of bright side to all this?
I did get offered another gig. Someone got in touch with me and offered me another gig at a festival.
Don't say which one.
I'm kind of expecting it to get cancelled at some point anyway, so I'm kind of not really wanting to announce it until it doesn't matter if I announce it or not, because it's I'm on a midday, but it's a decent stage or whatever. But it's a bit of a weird one. I don't know what to do. I've got a lot. I've been writing a lot of songs, but I
know what to do.
What to do?
What you do is you strike out on your own. You book your own gigs. You book your own venues. And you hire it all out yourself. We've done it before, but you've got to do it again. Right. But I think all artists and musicians should do it. They should strike out and make a new culture that isn't cowardly.
Yeah, because there's some festivals. I'm really wary of going to it, and I think that one of the things that I find quite, I don't know if it's ironic or not, but the fact that there's people there who saying they would feel unsafe if it was Birdy there, but frankly, I feel unsafe because they're going to come running up to us and scream in our face.
Which
and
they
some
have
of the people
done
go to these things.
You have much more reason to be genuinely worried. Yeah.
Someone screamed in your face in real life. Someone actually did that.
Oh yeah.
This was a couple
of times. To sort my woman out. But but
fucking pricks. God,
that bit probably be just that bit. Someone was going to cut that bit out and just say sort your woman out.
Yeah.
Even though you're quoting you're explaining to someone else's sexist position. It's terrible. What do you think?
Well, they did that to Rogan.
Yeah,
they did that to Rogan with the left wing, right wing montages. And the N-word montages.
Doozer and Birdy, what do you guys think? Like, we've talked on this channel, just on this show, just today. We made some interesting points. Do you think any of them would ever get through to these people who are criticizing you? Like, can you imagine someone like that guy who wrote the letter watching this and maybe seeing something?
No,
maybe. I really don't know.
You're a lot more
but this person who sent me that, I do know them, and they kind of tried to make out that it wasn't meant to come across as a threat and stuff, and I was like, I'm not quite sure how I was meant to read it otherwise. I just but
it's so natural to them. It's so natural to them, that kind of threatening language.
I don't know if people are going to believe what they want to believe. It's like if they're. I don't know.
People are not going to change their minds.
This is not a threat, but I mean, you just ignore everything after that.
Well, you know what's interesting about that letter is, what would be fun is for you to read it again, imagining that he's actually writing it to himself, because it sounds like he's really,
that's
in a sense, he's really trying to fight down his own doubts about the preposterousness of his position.
Maybe, I don't know. It's just. The nuts thing about it, as I said, of actual proper friends, like people I really considered as people I wanted in my life, and have literally just disassociated with us completely, and won't mention us, and suddenly we don't exist in their world anymore. I just find it nuts how much these people are getting so angry about it all, and it's as if we're going on a massive killing spree.
Well, Doozer, all I can say
I don't know. Sorry,
all I can say is what I
sense.
say to everyone who gets involved in this, which is welcome to the better friend stage of your life. You know, because like I mean, the one good aspect of this is that I've met people like yourself and Doozer, people who yourself and Birdy, people who I just am so impressed by, and you know, bravery is. I think you'll inspire other people to stand up as well. So
I think so.
So hang in there. You know.
Can I just say I can see Twitter in the background, and you've got trans activists already complaining, already screenshotting, and say, "Isn't it sexist to refer to somebody as Doozer's bird?"
Wow.
Wow.
No, it's the combination that it's all right. We had a thing called the
Of course it is. Everyone knows this. Everyone knows this.
It's what all the celebrities do, isn't it? Put the names together.
Yeah.
Like Brangelina.
So listen, are you gonna play us out with something? Is that
sure.
Excellent.
I'll make my headphone out. Hang on, give us 1 second.
Okay, you fire away. I'll bring you in. You give me a thumbs up when you're ready, and I'll bring you back in. Okay.
Oh no!
So
Does this mean that at some point I am going to have to play my beginner's level double bass?
Oh yeah. We have to do that at some
now.
point. Yeah. No, we've got to do that at some point. Lots of interesting things are coming up. There's Maya Forstater, I think, is coming up in March. Isn't that right? I think that's going to be big. There's been some brilliant moves in Scotland. A lot of bad news suddenly followed by lots of great news because of For Women Scotland and Fair Play for Women. So join us next week, and we will be covering it all as usual. Helen, Artie, thank you so much for this week again. Let's take us out with some Doozer. All right, bye everybody. Bye.
Hello. Oh no, what was going on?
Whoa, let me sort it. Don't worry, I can do it. I'll take ourselves out. That's the best way.
Oh, it's me. Hello. I haven't got any headphones on, so I don't know what anyone's saying. But yeah, this song was actually originally written as a friend of ours was getting bullied on the internet. So this is a song to kind of it's a dance to help you get through the times when the internet is being horrible to you. So I'm going to quickly show you the dance moves. Birdy's going to show you the dance moves as well. Oh, go on. Right, okay. So the first part I'll ask you is put your hands in the air, right? And then give a little wiggle. And then put your mean face on. And then flick the fingers from the middle. This is a fuck you dance. Internet is a very strange place where people hide their name and face. It's really very brave cowards where you can message anyone you like. Go and be mean and start a fight. It makes you get empowered. And it's okay to give someone a second chance, but on the third time, give them the fuck you dance. Put your hands in the air and give a little wiggle. Put your big face on and make those fingers from middle. Everybody seems so keen to hide away behind a screen and socialise in a virtual world. It makes you feel invincible because you can say anything at all. And someone will tell you that's alright. And it's okay to give someone a second chance, but on the third time, give them the fuck you dance. Put your hands in the air and give a little wiggle. Put your big face on and the person gets from middle. this in real life. Do you wanna start a fight? Can't we just get along? And what's it got to do with you? How people live their life and choose what to do. Fuck you. And it's okay to give someone a second chance, but on the third time, give them the fucking chance. Put your hands in the air and give a little wiggle. Put your big lights on and then go see the sun middle. Put your hands in the air and give a little wiggle. Put your big face on. Ah! Flick those fingers from the middle. And say fuck you. Thank you.
Yay! Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Well done, Doozer. That was great.
That was superb.
That was superb.
So
Best
good.
of luck. Best
Thank
of
you.
luck at the gig. I hope it comes out okay. If it doesn't, let us know and we'll kick up a shitstorm.
Cool.
Lovely to talk to you guys.
You too.
You're a real inspiration. Keep on.
Thanks for having us.
Okay.
Bye.
All right, everyone.
See you
Bye-bye,
guys.
everyone at home.
Bye.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.